Hey everyone, welcome back to the Automation Show. My name is Shawn with Insights in Automation, and in today's episode we're going to integrate an ET200 EcoPN IO-Link module with our S7 1500. Now I did all the tests with the S7 1200, exactly the same procedure, so if you're using 1200s, this applies to you as well as those of you using 1500s. Now once we get that set up, we're going to set up this stack light from Siemens, which has 9 different segments. It can do all kinds of different colors and flashing and whatnot. And I do want to thank Siemens for sponsoring this episode to make it ad-free and sampling in these pieces of hardware. This is a demo that now our hands-on training students who come into the Automation School for hands-on courses will be able to use. And I will be putting a lesson for our online students at theautomationschool.com. I'll put a lesson there so you can have that in your catalog of lessons for the S7 PLC course that I have up there. And we'll also update the professional development hours you receive. If you complete that lesson, you'll get more professional development hours. So with that said, to get started here, we're going to go over to the computer. Now I've reset everything here to factory defaults except for the stack light itself. So let's go over to the computer here, and now you can see I already have a default program for this particular S7 1500 in TIA Portal. And you guys have seen me create those many times, so I didn't figure we needed to do that. And then the next thing I want to do here is come down and update accessible devices underneath my Ethernet module in my computer. And here you can see there's the PLC, and then there is the device I want to set up. I'm just going to give it a second. It looks like it's done scanning. And I'm going to go on here, and I'm going to do something different this time. I do want to give it its Profinet name, which we've done in all the previous episodes, right? ET200 EcoPN.V. You can call yours whatever you want, but this is the name I've been using, the convention I've been using. So I am going to assign that name to the device here, and I'm also going to give it its IP address because I know from testing that I already have a configuration in the stack light, and I want to be able to wipe that out. So to do that, it's going to have its IP address. So here, I'm going to put in 192.168.2.219. Okay, and then my subnet mask 255.255.0.0. I'm going to assign that to the device right now. Again, typically you wouldn't have to do that, except I want to connect to this before I download to the PLC, so I need it to have its IP address. So that's in there. So now this device has an IP address and it has a Profinet name. And because of that, let me do an update all devices here. Let's see here. Update accessible devices. You can see it now shows up with its name. And now when I do online diagnostics, you can see I actually am able to read in some information about it, like the version, the article number, and so on. So with that done, let's go ahead and close that. And now it's time to add it to my TIA Portal project, my PLC. And you could add it through the catalog. We've done some like that, but I'm actually going to do the quick way since I have it here. Is I'm going to go to online hardware detection, Profinet devices from network, and I'll start search. Now, if you do have to add it, let's say you don't have all the equipment on your desk, who does? Then you want to create the project anyways. You want to do all the programming before the equipment arrives. You just add it through the catalog. Just be cognizant of the fact that you're going to make sure you pick the right article number, because as newer parts come in, you get newer article numbers, and the right firmware. If you don't, you'll have to change that, because when you download it, you'll get a red light saying it doesn't match. So in any case, we're going to select it here. It shows up in the list. We're going to add devices. And if you want to see that process, I did that in some previous videos. And that's going to bring it in, hopefully bring it in. Okay. The IO device was successfully done. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assign it to this port on the PLC. So it is owned by that PLC. Excellent. Now I want to go in there and check to make sure it has its Profinet name and IP address. So let's make this a little bit bigger here. We'll go to Ethernet address. Yes, it does. We'll go to, let's see here, Profinet interface. And it also got the right Profinet name, device name. Okay, good. So we're good there. So now let's just start working on the IO-Link. Now the first thing is we're only going to be using 2 ports for this demo. I'm going to show you guys port 8 here with the stack light, and then Whoops, come on, turn off. And then I'll do port 1 with the members in an extended version of the video. But in any case, so I'm going to disable ports 2 through 7. And then I'm going to assign the addressing for the IO-Link master. It has a couple of inputs. So I'm going to set that to, we're going to start that at 60, okay? There's no outputs there, so we'll do it at 60. And then for port 1, I'm not going to assign those yet. We'll do that in the second part of the video, the extended video. Port 8, which has the stack light on it, I'm going to go ahead and assign that. Well, you know, before I assign it, right now it only has 2 input bytes, okay? And then 1 PQI. Now, that's not enough for the stack light, and I'm going to show you because I pulled up the file at ioddfinder.io-link.com, and you can see it doesn't have any process input data. It's a stack light, so it doesn't give us any feedback, but it has 3 bytes of output data. So if I don't fix this, if I don't make this match, then when I try to add the IODD to that port in the configuration tool, it's going to say not enough memory, buddy. So we don't want it to say that. So it looks like I'm going to have to choose 4 in, 4 out because I have 3 out, 3 bytes out. Okay, so I've made that choice. And now that I have 4 in, 4 out, I want to update those to be starting at 70. So I know it'll just choose the next available address, but I want to align these so it's easy to remember and easy to program. So I'll do 70 in, 70 out for the stack light. All right, so with that done, I think we're ready to go in and configure the actual IO-Link module and IO-Link devices. So I'm going to right click on the device. I'm going to do Start Device Tool. And this is very similar to the AO video I did. I think that was last week. So let me go ahead and start up the PCT tool. It's going to say, hey, what network do we want to connect to it on? That's the network right there. And this does take a moment the first time you connect for it to make the connection to the hardware. Subsequent connections seem to be pretty quick. But in any case, we'll just give it a moment to come up. And I look forward to having this available for hands-on students who come out to our training room to get training. If you maybe have people who work for you or you yourself would like to get some hands-on, just get in touch with me. We can schedule to come in. If you ever see this error, it just means that you're not selected on the block itself. Okay, great. And now you can see everything's deactivated. All the ports are deactivated except for 1 and 8 like we would have expected, right? And so now I need to go get my IODD. Because this is a Siemens device, it's a very good chance it's in there. So if I remember correctly, this is 8WD46. Okay, and it does have a 1.0, which it finds first. Now watch what happens if I drag that in there. I get a message saying, hey, you really should use the 1.1 since it exists. Okay, so I'm like, all right, well, let me keep looking. Nope, keep on going. There it is. Okay, here it is. This is the one I want. And that's a 1.1. Okay. It looks like, yeah, there we go. We got it in there now. Get the right one in there and we got it as 1.1. Excellent. So if we come over here to addresses, we're going to see byte 1 and 2, not byte 0, but byte 1 and 2 are the output data that we're going to write to it. So that's a very interesting one. I don't know why they skipped 0, but byte 1 and 2. So we got to remember that. And I also want to change the configuration. So I'm going to actually select the device here. Okay, I'm going to go to parameters and I want to change the configuration. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to use not just tier 1, right? They're not all going to be the same color. I'm going to want to use individual settings for each of the segments, okay? The second thing I want to do is I just think it's easier to show you guys the filling level. So 0 to 100, so it'll go up 0 to 100%. And then for segment 9, I'm going to make that red. And I'm going to make that blink at 2 Hertz. And then segment 8, I'm going to make this also red, but not blink. Okay. And then for segment 7, I'm going to make this yellow. And I'll make segment 6 yellow as well. Now this is different than the test I did, and I'm purposely doing something different than I did before just to make sure we're actually downloading these new parameters to the stack light. Okay, now from 5, I'll make green. I'll make all the rest of them green here. Okay, and it's nice having this configuration built right into the tool. Whoops, green. I have been known to pick the wrong thing when I'm talking. green, and green. So let me just go back and check green, 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 yellow, yellow, red, red. Okay, great. So that's done. Now, this is not the same configuration that's in the stack light right now. So I'm going to try to download to the stack light and see if we can update its parameters. Now, if you make any changes in here, if you put an invalid value, you will get an error message saying that it was not able to download. And that's important to know because if you just ignore that error message, you won't have a configuration in your device. So keep that in mind. And so we're just waiting for it to download here. Okay, and it's successful. Okay, so we have downloaded to the 8WD46. So we know we've erased that old configuration, which is great. So I am done in here for now. I'm going to go ahead and close the tool. It's going to say save changes back to TIA Portal, PLC1. Yes, please. And so it's going to do that. And once it's out of there, we'll be able to come in here. And I think we'll be out ready to download. I do want to show you the watch table I have after we've downloaded. So I've already created a tag for that, the word we're going to write out to change the value of that the stack light is looking at. So look, it's done. So let's go ahead and select the PLC and we'll go ahead and download. And it'll do a compile to make sure we didn't make any mistakes. Okay, let's go ahead and start search. There it is. Let's load it. Yes, it's saying it might not be trustworthy, but trust me, it's been on the workbench all week, so I'm trusting it. Now, if you're connected to a new PLC in the field, that may be a concern. You may want to check that out, but I know what this unit is, and I know I've disabled the password because I'm just working on the workbench here. So I don't have to go through all the security methods you may have to go through when you're in plant. And of course, I know the folks from Siemens are always happy to talk about that with you if you're confused about the options and what's available and what's not available. But in any case, so we're loading the configuration in. Good. Now, we're going to go online and check, but I will also want to see, okay, remember we said byte 1 and 2, right? So there's a byte 1, okay, and I'm looking at it in decimal. So let's go ahead and if I monitor this watch table, it will go online, and we're hoping to have all greens here to make sure I chose the right article number. Of course, I imported it, so it's the right one. I read it from the device. Okay, and I'm monitoring this, and this is an output, right? So what I'm going to do here, let me pull up the screen at the same time, the overhead camera and the screen. And before I do anything, of course, I got to put it into run mode. So the first time I have to go over and do this on the PLC. Okay, we can see it's getting ready to go into run mode. Okay, and so now I'll pull up the stack light on the screen. It's at 0. Let's send it to 40. Okay, so I'll put a 40 in there. I'll modify it now. And what do we see? 4 greens. 4 or 3? 3 greens. Now, there's only 9 segments, and we're doing 0 to 100. So let me go to 50 now. Okay, whoops. Click on the right one. Modify now. Looks like we got more green. Let's go up to, let's say, 70. Okay, modify now. Okay, we got our first yellow. We're starting to get into that yellow range. I think it's 70 through, let's see, 85. See if we can pick up another yellow here. Yep, we get 2 yellows. Now let's say we really got to make a lot of products, so we're going to go to 99% of max speed here. Oh, now we got both our reds, and the top one's flashing. So I'm feeling very confident that this is a new configuration because I haven't used this configuration in any of my previous tests. And so you saw how we were able to update the stack light from the PCT tool. And now I'm here in the program. I'm testing it out and everything's working as expected, which is really good. Now, with that said, if you're a member, hang on. We'll go through and set up this third-party device in the extended edition. But for everybody else, I just want to thank you for tuning in and watching this. I hope this made sense. If you have questions about what I did, let me know in the comments. I also want to thank Siemens who sent in the ET200 EcoPN 8xIO-Link block. And this, I think, is a really good-looking stack light here with 9 segments. And it's perfect for a little trainer here for those of the students who come in to use it hands-on. And so I want to thank them. And they also sponsored the episode to make it ad-free. So it's always good not to have ads, right? So with all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to wish you all good health and happiness. And until next time, my friends, peace.